Hi my beautiful friends, it's Leah. Today I'm going to be doing a story time video. I've been obsessed with watching these recently. When I'm bored, I turn them on. When I want to cry, I turn on the sad ones. When I want to laugh, I turn on the funny ones. Like, I've been watching a lot of these. And I'm like, wait a minute. I have so many stories that I could personally say, and I have a YouTube channel, so like, story times honestly are like therapy to me recently. I like seeing how people got through things, how they went about it. So hi, my name's Leah and this is Life of Leah. We are going to be talking about how my stalker died. I don't know what other word to use for him, so like, this took place about 2.5 years ago, I think, or 3 years ago. So when I was 20 years old, about to turn 21, I would go to this certain place 4 days a week for 10 hours per day. I was really involved there. That was my normal routine. When I was 20, I was going through a lot of different things. I became very depressed, I became very sad, and I became very antisocial for past things that maybe one day I'll make a story time on. During 18 to 20, I was just like getting hit after hit. Like, I was not happy with life. I was going through it. I was at this place for like 2.5 years already. I had made a bunch of friends. I talked to a lot of people, but because I started growing into a depression, I really just zoned everyone off and I would do my own thing. I would do my routine, go to lunch, do my routine, go home. During lunch hours, I stopped hanging out with them. I would just go and sit by myself. Mind you, this place, it's huge. There's a lot of people at this place. So when it became lunch, I would go sit at this certain table that I knew no one liked sitting at because there was a giant pole that would like block you and I wanted to be blocked. So I would sit in this certain spot every single day. Like, that became my routine for like 2 months of just sitting alone in this certain spot. The place where I would eat was pretty big. Like, there was so many open chairs all the time. Probably like about 100 open chairs. And one day I'm just sitting in my little spot, minding my business, stuffing my face with some Cheerios, and I'm on my phone and I just see some little tiny feet. Like, you know when you see like the shadow of someone coming but you're like, absolutely not, and you just like pretend that you don't. So I saw someone coming and I was just like and I hear the chair in front of me pull out and someone had sat there. So it's literally like how me and you are right now. We're this close. So I look up and it's actually a guy that I hadn't ever seen before, and he just sat like right in front of me, which wasn't like super odd, but the fact that there was like 100 open chairs in this huge place and I sat in the spot that everyone hated, it was just kind of like, I paid no mind. I stayed on my phone. I ate my food. He just sat there, did not say anything, and ate his food, and I got up, finished. Here comes the next day, go to my same spot, and he does the same thing. So it's 2 days now of him sitting across from me, not saying anything. We're just eating. This table is wide open. There's a lot of other chairs. So although I was like distancing myself from everybody, of course I still had friends there. They're going to talk to me here and there. And I started to notice this guy like around now. Like, now that I knew like, okay, who is this dude? I've seen him. He sits in front of me. I started gradually seeing him throughout the day. He would talk to a lot of my girlfriends, he would talk to like my guy friends, and I would see them all laughing and stuff. You know when you look up and like you catch someone staring at you? Yeah, that would happen a lot with this one. It's the same week, different day, and one of my girlfriends had came up to me. I noticed he was like walking behind her and she just started talking to me, like playing with my hair and saying how I've been doing and all this stuff. And he came up to her to try to start conversation, and as they were talking, he's just like this. So he's talking to her and he's like, oh, who's this? And he points at me. My friend introduces me to this guy. He was like, oh, hi, I'm Stalker. And I really wish he would introduce himself like that. That would be great. He had introduced himself, whatever. I carried on with whatever I was doing. He had left. And it became lunchtime that day. He comes with a group of guys. There was about 3 of them, and of course you already know where they sat. They sat right across from me. So I'm just eating. I know he introduced himself, but that don't mean that we're cool or anything. Like, yeah, you introduced yourself, but like, we're not friends. Him and his friends are like goofing off to the max and being really obnoxious and loud, and I have really sensitive hearing. A lot of people don't know this, but I have really sensitive hearing, that when I hear loudness, like, it physically hurts me. When people are loud, my ears literally hurt. I mean, like, abnormally loud. Like, I could be a loud person too. Just scrolling through my phone, I'm not paying attention to them. I would have gotten up, but at the same time I was already sitting there. My food was already placed on the table, and I never want to look rude. I hate that about me. So I'm just scrolling on my phone, and Stalker had said, "Hey, I know you." He's like, "I met you earlier. Hi. I like your phone." And I'm like, "Oh, thanks. Like, it's just an iPhone 7. He's like, "Yeah, it's all black. You always wear all black. Like, I noticed that. Are you gothic?" I'm like, "No, not gothic. I just like black." And he's like, "You know, I have a phone too. Put your number in my phone." It wasn't like a, "Hey, maybe you could like put your number in my phone." No, sis. It was like, it was shoved up in my face. And you know, as girls, we stay putting fake numbers up in guys' phones that you don't want to give your number to. And you know me, I actually gave him my number like a stupid idiot. You know, like when you give a fake number and then they actually are like, "Oh, okay, let me call you right now," to make sure that you're not giving them a fake number. Well, he did do that, so you know, if it didn't pop up on the screen, he would have known I was lying. Like, "Oh, okay, let me call you to make sure." So he calls, my phone like rings his number. I chose to not save it because I didn't really care to have his number. And he's like, "Oh, you got Instagram?" And I'm like, "What 20-year-old is not on Instagram?" So I decided to give him my Instagram account, and I was kind of okay with that because I always keep my stuff on private. That's just the way I be keeping it, because people like... So he's going to add me, and I could just leave him in the follow request box and just pretend that I have not like saw it. So he's watching me as I look myself up on Instagram. I follow it, and he's like, "Oh, you followed it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, see?" And he was like, "Oh, okay, well, go accept it right now." Super pushy, and I was just like seeing a whole personality pour out. You can kind of tell like how someone is even by a first impression, and my first impression with him was very controlling. So I accepted his friend request, and that happens to a lot of women. Like, we feel stuck sometimes and scared. We just do things because like we don't know what the outcome could be if we say no. Luckily now I'm a little more strong-willed to be able to say hell no. So here we go into, I believe, the 3rd week, and he comes again with a group of his guys, and he sits down across from me. He hadn't ever texted me, he never wrote me on Instagram, so I just thought maybe he wasn't as forceful as I thought. So I'm sitting at the table, and he sits across from me, and he's like, "Yo, I have something to ask you. Do you got a boyfriend or not?" And you know, us girls, normally when stuff like this happens, just pretend that you got yourself a little boyfriend. And my reply was, "No, I'm single." Like, "Oh, that's cool. When was your last boyfriend?" Still to this day, I have not had like a legitimate boyfriend. I feel like I'm gonna be a nun. I don't know. I told him like, "Oh, well, I haven't really been in a serious relationship." I strongly believe in like not wasting time. Like, if I know that you're not going to be for me, I will not pursue like a legit relationship. And a normal response to that would be like, "Oh, okay, like I understand." Not for Stalker. His response, and I quote, was, "Oh my gosh, then that means that you're a virgin." How does never having a boyfriend before mean that you're a virgin? I'm sorry, but I know a lot of people who have lost their virginity to random people who they've never been in a relationship with. I don't want to answer that. That's such an inappropriate question to ask someone that you don't even know. Looks at me like this, and he's like, "You are, guys, she's a virgin." Like, he starts telling all the homies, "Leah's a virgin, she's almost 21, that's crazy." And I felt beyond uncomfortable. Having purity is such a beautiful thing. Like, don't ever let anybody make fun of you or anything like that. Save it for the right person, guys. Honestly, like humiliating me in front of his friends, like making little jokes. So I grabbed my things and I dipped. I just decided from here on out I was going to eat my lunch outside. I didn't have a car at that time. I was getting dropped off at this place, so I just sat outside and I made sure to hide. That didn't last long, not at all. It lasted me about a week of like him leaving me alone and him not having like access to see me or sit next to me because I was hiding. Yet again, eating my food, minding my business, and I just hear peekaboo. And I look up, I'm like, oh my gosh, he thinks we're playing hide and seek.
Oh my gosh, finally, I didn't know where you've been. I hadn't seen you at lunch. He's like, I've been looking around for you.
And I was legit sitting on concrete. If you could choose to sit on a nice chair or eat your lunch on the floor, what are you gonna choose? He chose the floor. He starts sitting down next to me and he's like, you know what, Leah?
I just want to tell you that I think that you're so beautiful and I want to take you out on a date. I could see from your Instagram you love going to the mountains, you love going on hikes. Let me take you there. Let me show you a good time.
Mind you, he was 31 and I was 20, almost 21, but he was 11 years older than me. At that age is like a huge downfall for me. Sorry, mom and dad, but like, I like older guys. So like the age wasn't even like that concerning, but his mannerisms and like the way that he was the part where I was like, absolutely not. So I had told him, you know, honestly, no thank you. I'm really going through some stuff right now. There's no way I can even pay attention to any type of relationship. He was just begging me to give him a chance, and there was like no way I was going to. So once he realized that I was sitting in that spot outside, I just decided to go to another spot where I knew like there was not a certain chance in the world that he could find me this time. Yeah, that didn't last long either. The next day, sitting in this new spot, he comes again and is like, hey,
are you avoiding me?
Yes. No, I didn't say that. I was like, oh no, not me. He was getting like kind of aggressive and he was getting angry. He was like, I can tell you've been avoiding me. You don't want me around you. Like, what did I do to you? That was so bad. I feel like any normal girl would be like, you made me feel uncomfortable, now leave me alone. Me, I was like, oh no, like I said, just going through some things.
He was like, oh, that's how you feel? Okay.
But he left angry. So after this, he had really left me alone. Wasn't trying to find me wherever I would go. But one day I was bored chilling in my mom's car. You know what? I want to go on Instagram Live, and I never ever do that. I don't know why, I just don't care for it. But that day I was super bored. I did my hair, I did my makeup, had a cute outfit on. I was like, oh. My friends hop in there, we're all laughing, we're having a good time. I didn't even know the whole time I was in there that Stalker was in there as well. I was getting so many hard eyes in there and I was like, oh yeah, someone's hyping me up, who is it? And I look and I'm like, I forgot to take him off of my Instagram. I didn't even know that he was in there that whole entire time. So I was like scrolling up to see if he had commented in there, and he was saying like, oh my gosh, you look so sexy. I didn't know that you even look like that. And a bunch of hard eyes, the tongue out emoji, like the most. I logged off real quick and I was going to go and block him, but as soon as I was doing that, my mom had came back in the car and I think she needed help with something. I cannot remember honestly why I didn't block him like I was going to. So 10 minutes after getting off of the live and I was helping my mom, I get a notification from Instagram and it's a message from Stalker. He said in that message, hey, I know you said no, but I'm not taking that as an answer. I'm gonna take you on a hike. We're going to have a good time, and that's that on that. Just saying, like, you are gonna go on a date with me. I'm not taking no for an answer, blah blah blah. So I had messaged him back and I was like, yo. And I said, honestly, I'm sorry yet again. I said, thank you for the offer, but I am not going to be able to accept it. I'm not looking for anything. I don't want anything. And I was kind of being like a little, because I didn't like the way that he talked to me. So I was like, you know what? You're 31 years old. I'm 20. Like, maybe you should go for some girl like your own age who's ready to settle down, who's ready for what you're offering. And as soon as I sent it, I blocked him. So that day I'm feeling good. I'm like, okay, this guy hopefully will get the hint and he will be out of my life for good. That night I'm getting ready for bed. I had my normal routine in the morning and it's 11:30 at night. I'm already closing my eyes and I get a phone call. And it was coming through from an unknown number, so they had blocked their number. And that wasn't like too weird for me because my nana at the time had her phone number on unknown caller. So I picked it up thinking that it was my grandma. As soon as I pick it up, very aggressively, the person on the other line
is like, hey, is this Leah?
Like, oh shoot, that don't sound like Granny. Like, I don't know who this is. I'm not gonna say if it's me or not. And I said, oh, who is this? And he said, shut the F-U-C-K up. Is this Leah? I said, excuse me? And he said, no, excuse you, you stupid B-I-T-C-H. I'm on my way to your house right now. I know exactly where you live. And I'm going to F-U-C-K you up. Like, this voice sounds really, really familiar. At that point, I knew exactly who it was and I hung up the phone real quick. I never got up out of bed that fast in my life and I ran downstairs and I started just slamming the doors because my front door was actually open. I slammed the front door. My dad is like, what the heck is going on? At this point, I'm hyperventilating. I feel like I can't breathe. I didn't know if this person like had been following me to my car to know where I lived at. Like, there's a very strong possibility that he did and I just didn't notice it. And I told my dad, like, Dad, there's someone coming for me and he's gonna F me up. And my dad's like, Leah, that's not gonna happen, don't worry. He was like, give me your phone right now, I'm gonna call him. I was like, Dad, like, you can't, he called on an unknown number. So I don't know why I didn't think to do like a police report. Like, if someone's threatening you, you have every right to do a police report. So I didn't go to this place that he would see me at, I think, for like 2 days, but I eventually, like, I had to go back. I didn't have any more hours to cover, so I knew I had to go back. My anxiety was through the roof. Like, I didn't know if him and his homies were planning on like doing something to me. Like, you don't know. As soon as I walked into the building, he was standing right there and he catches eyes with me like that and he starts booking it towards me. Like, he is running. I'm not much of a runner, but best believe,
run.
I was running, man. I never ran that fast in my life. Luckily, one of my like guy friends was there and I just like wrapped my arms around him real quick and I just hid behind him. And since he saw that I was like with another guy, he just ran the other way. I was telling my friend, like, oh my gosh, this guy threatened me the other day. I don't feel safe. I don't know what to do. And he's like, Leah, you can easily just go and tell on him. Ended up going to higher ups and telling on him. Yes, they had pulled him aside and had talked to him. And after that day, he left me alone. To get to the tragic part of this story, it became about a month after. I hadn't really seen him around. I didn't hear from him again after they talked to him. I guess he had gotten moved, so he wasn't going to be anywhere near me. So one day I'm just doing my thing and a friend comes up to me and they're like, hey, didn't you know Stalker? And I said, yeah, why? Because I thought that they were going to say that he was saying things about me again. He was like, oh, did you hear? And I said, no. And he said, he actually passed away last night. Isn't that crazy? And it was like the weirdest feeling that creeped over my body. I asked him like what happened and he said that he had passed away due to a stroke in his sleep. And my heart actually hurt. Like, I don't care what anyone does to me, any evil that is against me, I will never wish death on a person regardless of how you treated me. It was just a really, really like odd situation. Like, that just does not really happen. Obviously, God knows when everyone's time is. There is an end date to all of our lives. Obviously, I'm not God. I don't know why God took him. Maybe there was a lot of stuff in his life that I don't even know about. All I know is what had happened to me, and that's my story. This is so weird. I'm getting anxiety. This is like why I don't open up, because I get like really... That is basically going to be it for this story. If you guys want me to do like an enlightening story, a funny story, I can definitely do that in the next one. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. Like always, stay safe, stay positive, and I will be seeing you guys in my next one. Bye guys.